To the United States now, where protesters are in their fourth week of a protest on Wall Street. It's 3 years since Lehman Brothers collapsed and the government used taxpayers' money to bail out banks, and now the country's back at the brink of recession. Ordinary Americans have had a gutful and they want to see some real change. President Barack Obama promised that, of course, before his election, but in many people's eyes, he's failed to deliver. From New York, here's North America correspondent Michael Brissenden.
The occupation of New York's financial district is now entering its fourth week, spurred on by determination, anger, occasional good humour, and the almost timeless soundtrack of American protest.
But I will not be treated this way. Extra, read all about it. We have the news that you need here today. The time is now. If not us, who? If not now, when the hell's that going to happen?
I believe I've been waiting for this for about 5 years.
We are not haters.
And I think it's going to happen.
This is not some kind of niche protest. This isn't Save the Whales. This isn't Save the Dolphins. This is Save the World. This is everybody.
This is what the United States government does to its people.
From its beginnings as a small and perhaps not that unusual expression of youthful defiance, the Occupy Wall Street protest has tapped something much bigger.
I'm amazed that this protest that's going on now didn't happen years earlier, when the financial crash first happened, when all the foreclosures began unfolding, when people started losing their jobs, when the poverty rate went up, when austerity took root in every state and city in the country. It's taken 3 years, but finally what has happened, I think, was inevitably going to happen.
The protest does now have an undeniable momentum. Similar Occupy protests have sprung up in cities across the nation. But the simmering disquiet in America over social and financial inequality and a growing concern about what many see as the greed at the heart of the financial structure has coalesced around the streets below the nation's corporate mastheads. The anger has confused and bewildered many on the inside.
I'm in the business. Some of the things that have transpired are very upsetting to me and people that I work with. I work for a very small firm, and we did nothing wrong leading up to the financial crisis, and we've paid a hefty price.
Traders like Jason Weisberg say blaming Wall Street for the problems is too easy.
The government gave money to Wall Street or to the financial institutions of this country to avoid utter collapse. And it's because of a lot of these big institutions that a lot of people are able to, buy cars on terms, or buy food on terms with credit cards, buy houses on terms, buy farm equipment. It's not as simple as saying, hey, don't bail out Wall Street. They don't deserve it.
Sir, can you help me buy a politician?
But for the protesters, Wall Street simply serves as a convenient metaphor. Many people have been surprised at how quickly this has grown over the last 3 weeks. The message here is a contemporary reaction to the current economic and social problems in America. But Wall Street, and all it represents, has a long history as a focal point for protest.
Wall Street, almost from the birth of the nation, has been a target for public anger.
Stephen Fraser has written extensively on the history of Wall Street protest. Times have changed, he says, but the parallels remain valid.
People for a long time, back in the 19th century and on through the New Deal, during the Great Depression of the 20th century, were afraid of Wall Street's power to subvert democracy, to exert, because of its enormous financial wealth, great political power. And I think people feel that and are convinced that that is the case today, that only money talks.
The protesters here also say they've been inspired by the uprisings in the Middle East. Like the Arab Spring, this autumn of discontent is harnessing the internet. Smartphones and laptops are the folk songs of the modern era. But how different do the song lines look for those at the very bottom of this crisis?
Sometimes you do feel a sense of powerlessness, and that's not a good feeling, not a good feeling. But yes, a sense of no voice.
A little further uptown from the financial district, Manhattan's busiest soup kitchen serves a different class of disenchantment. For many here, the intellectual preoccupations of the Wall Street protesters are lost amidst the more basic requirements of survival. But even here, there's a recognition that this one may just be a little different.
It's like sounding a trumpet, and a lot of people are now recognizing the significance of this protest.
Would you ever go down and join the protest?
I'm in such a financial bind. If I had the resources, and I would not only join the protest, I would go and get quite a few other people to join me and rally together. And if I were ever in a position to do so, I would be on the front line.
Now into its fourth week, many are wondering where this movement, if that's what it is, goes from here. Again, the historians say the past may provide the answer.
Wall Street has enormous staying power. You know, it was once said that high finance is the Vatican of capitalism. You don't overthrow the Vatican too easily. But what my point here is that those protests in the past were sometimes quite successful in, if not overthrowing the Vatican of capitalism, at least determining what it could and could not do.
So far, most politicians on both sides have been cautious about pinning labels to this protest. Some from the left and the right have even acknowledged the motivations and frustrations of those who've taken to the streets. Recognition in itself that this could become a significant political phenomenon, a sort of mirror image of the Tea Party. Now in its fourth week, the occupation of Wall Street is still in full song.
And as you'd imagine, both the Democrat and Republican parties are wondering how the mood on display in the Wall Street protests is going to play in next year's presidential election. The polls would say not very well for President Obama. Michael Brissenden there in New York.